Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in the previous video, we have discussed that how to read the data in Pandas data frame, and I have shown you the data also, that how you would be reading the data, what are the commands for that. Before that, you need to install these two library, and then this was the code which we executed in the previous session. So the topic for today is going to be the pre-processing of the data before the data we are using in a model, in any of the model like BD, LGD or any credit risk, any other model. So the basic step is to pre-process the data. We call it exploratory data analysis also. There are so many steps which are involved there. So I am going to start this pre-processing of data from this video, and then there would be a couple of videos which will be strictly dedicated to the pre-processing of the data before making any PD, LGD, EAD model. If you guys are coming on my channel for the very first time, you want to learn Python also, because see, this course is in Python. So there are so many Python videos on my channel. There are several playlists also. I'll not talk much about it. So to save your time, you can go back on my channel and explore the Python thing if you want to learn only Python. Now, see, this is what we have discussed in the previous session. Now, we'll start from the new thing. And before that, let me run this piece of code one more time so that you guys know how exactly I was reading the data. So in the data, there were so many columns like ID, member ID, loan amount, funded amount, then term, then interest rate. And you can see there are so many null values, and it is also not showing some of the columns. So it's showing like this 3 dots. Usually when you want to show the full data in your Python, okay, so there is a separate code for that. Before moving ahead, what I will do, I will remove this head from here. Now I am just running this code, shift enter. So you guys can see that this has actually picked up the data from my location and it has created a data frame, although it's not printing the data frame because I'm not giving any command to print at the moment. Now before printing, let me create a backup. So I will create a loan backup. And why loan backup is important, guys, because every time you don't want to read the file from scratch and you want to do the analysis. So always it's good that you create a backup of your data before doing any alteration or any modification in the production, because all of those modification and manipulation usually get saved and then you lose the real data if you are doing anything wrong. So always try to make a backup of your data. Now let's say pd.read csv, and the same command I will paste here. So now you have a data frame named Rajat and also a backup data, loan backup. Now I can just simply say Rajat. When I say Rajat, so it means that I'm just calling the data frame. Now let me run this, shift enter again. So the code is running at the moment. And you can see this is showing the full data. There are so many observations in my data, so it's irrelevant to see this much of data and it will be very difficult for you to understand. That's why I was using the head option. So I will again put that head here. Now when I run this, shift enter. So you will see in the output only some top rows, because head option is used to show only the top rows. Similarly, there is an option called tail, which is helpful to analyze the bottom 5 rows. Here you are seeing the top 5 rows. Now if I put, let's say after this, I have a new cell. So let's do this. I call Rajat dot tail. Now I just run this one, shift enter. So now you can see Rajat.tail have these observation. Again, it's not showing all the observation here. So there is a trick which you need to use. So now to remove such kind of situation where you cannot see all the column, okay, I'll tell you a hack here. You need to remember that because that is very helpful. So we have a function here and we call it display function. So let me write a code for that. So pd, which is our library like Pandas library, and then options dot display. I am calling the display option, then dot max columns equal to None. So this is the option you need to show here. Okay. Now when I hit shift enter, this has been executed. Now I'll show you one more time. Rajat dot head. Shift enter. So guys, you can see there is a difference in the appearance. Okay. Let me go up. So you can see when I was not using the display option, this was looking very clumsy and unrealistic sort of. But after using the display option in this command, options.display.max_column, now you can see how well defined columns are there. Similarly, if I write a tail here, so you will see the tail also fully defined. See, this is clearly visible, but there are so many unknown values, null values. So all this we will cover. Don't worry. Okay, we'll go one by one. Now you know about the display option. So make a note of that there is a display option which you need to remember, and you need to remember the coding. Although this code, this whole workbook you will be able to download from the GitHub repository, and the link will be there in the description box. So don't worry. Now let's move forward. Okay. Now let's explore some of the columns which we have here. So when you talk about the columns, so you want to see the value of the columns also sometimes. So let's move on to the value. Let's say I have the data frame Rajat. Then I say dot columns dot values. Now just run this. So you can see that it's showing me all the columns. If you want to like survey about your data set, or you want to understand end to end about your data set, so you can use this option. Okay, it's very useful. Column dot value. Now I can see here so many variables are there. Okay, so sometime I want to use, let's say, any particular variable. So you can quickly check in this grid and you can use that, whatever you want to do. Now there is one more logic you can apply. When you're doing all this analysis of pre-processing the data, all these options are oftenly used in real time. Okay. Now dot data frame dot info, very basic option. So this will show you everything about your data set. That in your data set you can see that there is a ID which is float. Then you have a number. Then you have loan amount. You have interest value, installment, grade, employee length. So what is employee length? The employment length. Basically, what was the duration of your employee in the company where he was working, or about the loan tenure. So this will talk about the length. Now let's do analysis on this variable itself. Okay. So if I go up, and we check about employee length. So you can see this is the variable. Okay. Employee length, and in employee length you can see values like 10 plus years, less than 1 years, again 10 plus year, and so and so. Okay. So this is not a correct format of the data. So if I want to change it, okay, so the employment year is very important, because the length of the employment or employment year, when I talk about it, so basically this is a continuous variable. What is a continuous variable? The continuous variable are those variables which are keep on increasing with over a period of time. Let's say your age, your employment history, all these are continuous. So now there is a logic and there is a rule that all the continuous variable must be numeric. All continuous variables must be numeric. But here if you see the type of the employment length, let me show it. Let's check it. Employment length. This is considered as an object, and object is not the correct data type which I want to take here. I want numeric only. Now how I will handle this situation? So there are some simple checks which you need to perform. Okay. Now let me talk about one by one. So when you are talking about loan data, so in this you have this variable. I think you are clear as of now, and I already told you this continuous variable need to be converted to a numeric value. That is a thumb rule. You need to remember. There is no question why it should be like that. It must be like that. So for that, how you'll create that? You'll create a new variable using this data frame. So my data frame is Rajat. And then inside that, I have this column emp underscore length. So this is my column, and then again I will call Rajat, and I will see what should be the name of the new variable. So let's say I call it employee length underscore int. That's how I can call it. But before doing it, there is one more thing I need to do. So let me quickly show you the values within this particular column in this data frame. So Rajat, and then the column name, then you will write unique. This will show you the unique values which do exist inside this column. Now let me run this. So you guys can see 10 plus years, less than 1 year. So all these value which you need to handle, you need to make sure that this data frame is converted. This particular column is converted to numeric value. Now how I will do that? I told you one thing. I am creating a new column. I am assigning the value here. Okay. Now let me comment this out. So this is what I need to do. Now, as per Python syntax, what I need to do, let me do it. I think the view is clear to all of you. Let me zoom it a bit more. Okay. So this is what I need to do. So now I'll write the code. So I'll create a new column and will be equal to Rajat employment length. Will copy this. The column name, which is the old column name. Now I am going to use one function which is very important for all of you to know. So there is a string function dot str. So just understand the logic of this. Str dot replace. Now I want to replace all these value like plus 10 years and let's say any unknown value like less than 1 year, because this is a very less tenure. So I don't need a tenure which is less than 1 year. So I'll use the replace function for that, and inside replace you need to pass the value what you want to replace. So let's say I want to replace this value. So I copy this, quotes, comma. Let's say you want to replace this with blank value. Simple. Okay. So this is just a solution to one thing. Now let me copy this. How many situations we have? So I want to remove this 1 year also. So for that I will paste this value here. Now here I want to remove this less than 1 year. So I'll put it here and I will replace it with 0. So for that I need to put a string and the value is 0. Now one more bracket. Okay, this looks good. Now let's say some other values are also there which you want to replace. Let's say sometime it can happen, although in our case it's not there, that years, the character is all small. Years is a small here, y is small here also, here also, here also, here also, here also. But I want to remove all these years. So let me copy this one. Okay, I think this was not copied. I'll put it here. So just want to copy this part, this blank, and then years, and I will paste it here. Okay, perfect. Now you can see this will remove all these with 3, 8, 9. Now this NaN is also there. So for NaN also I need to do a treatment. I'll copy this. This replace option is very important, guys. Okay. Now let's say this NaN. Or one more thing we can do. NaN will be there in so many columns. So I will tell you in one go. Let it be here. Let me remove this part. See, now we have treated all the values. Mostly now you will get this plus 10 year will be removed. Also this 1 year, 3 year, 9 year, 4 year, 5 year, 6 year. All these value will be removed and everything will be converted to an integer. Only the integer value will be left here. But still there are some action which I need to perform to convert it into integer. Now if I run this piece of code, shift enter. So this has ran successfully. Now let's move forward. Let me check the type. Type of what? The column Rajat, and then this value, and the new column will be having this value. So paste it here and close the bracket, and then I'll just pull first value. Let's say give the indexing and close the bracket. Now this will show me the type of this. So you can see this is still a string. Earlier it was an object, guys, correct? You can see the data type was object earlier. Now this has been converted to string. Now how I'll convert string to integer? This is again going to be very tricky. So Rajat, the dataset name, then I will call the variable, or I'll copy it from here because it's easy to copy sometime rather than typing. I put it here equal to pd dot to numeric. This is a function which pandas library give. You are converting this to numeric value, then calling again my data frame, and then inside that I will call the column, paste it here and close the bracket and close this. Okay, so this is where I am converting this to numeric. Now let me run this. This is okay. So we have a error here. Now let me check what is the error. Showing value error. I'm not sure why it's. Let me run this piece of code again because it's the same code. Okay, it has still unable to parse a string 10 plus 0 at position 0. Okay, so that's the error. So there can be one possible thing. Let me try one option. So because sometime what happened, there are some invalid values because it's a huge data, right? So I can use one option, that is coarse option. So I'm already explaining here to the system that convert invalid values into NaN. So let me run this piece again. Yeah, and this has ran successfully. So sometime what happened, guys, if I remove this option from here, let me try showing it to you. And if I run this, now this session have a issue, no problem. But the thing is, sometime you have invalid values, okay? Because I was having so many observations in this data set. Let me show you how many observations we have. If I open the input data set, this is having huge number of observations here. Let me show that to you so that you guys understand, and you should also use this option, which is coarse option in errors. So what it will do, it will convert all the invalid values into NaN, which you can handle later, because when you will be doing the handling of missing value treatment, all those things, so at that point of time you can handle that. Okay, that is not going to be a challenge. Let me show you how many total observations we are processing, so you know this. So if I go down on this, so you can see it's so many. 23 lakh 37,000, not 22 lakhs, but it's a huge processing in a local system. So let me close this one. Now let me quickly go back to our option. Okay, so guys, we have got the conversion, and now the only part is left to show you the type. For that I have a type function, type of Rajat inside this this variable which I used. So simply you need to basically copy this. Let's do it in a new cell. Let me paste it here. Now when I run this, so you can say that this is a numpy and it has been converted to a floating point number. So basically we are able to achieve what we wanted to. We have converted a continuous variable into a numeric value. So take this as a thumb rule whenever you are building any type of model. This is very important. Okay. Now this code, whole code, you can get from the GitHub repository and you will get the link in the description box. If you like this video, please hit the like button. I'll meet you in the next video with subsequent data processing sessions. Okay. Till then, all the best for your learning. And if you have any question, please ping me, please comment in this video and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much guys. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.